according to this computer. I am going to turn this over to Becky Robinson, who is going to lead us in a fun and informative session on managing trial nerves and anxiety. It's all yours, Becky.
Okay, I'm gonna start with a short intro. My profession is coaching, but I consider myself an athlete and a coach. I've been coaching for 28 years, collegiate women at Ithaca College in the sport of rowing. I've had the opportunity to compete at the highest level in rowing myself as an athlete, but also as a coach. I've won and lost both a whole lot along the way. My greatest achievement as an athlete was being in the final cut for the 1992 Olympic team, which maybe doesn't seem like an achievement, but it really is for me. I did get to go to the Olympics as a coach in 2016, where I was coaching a single sculler who was representing the Bahamas, who was also an athlete at Ithaca College. I'm actually not very good naturally at controlling and managing competition nerves, but I have over the years figured out ways to manage it. And I'm learning now how to take those skills that I've learned in rowing and put them into dog sports. My goals for tonight is to explore your why, to know how nerves affect competition, and then give you some tools on what you can do about it. A few expectations. This is an interactive presentation, and I'm going to ask for you to participate through a lot of the chat box, so typing into the chat box. I also will say I'm extremely externally motivated, and some of my favorite people in the world are my athletes. When I sit in a conversation and have a talk and they're going like this, so if anybody wants to put your videos on, you will get a better performance from me tonight because I feed off of other people's emotions and whatnot. So get involved, be curious, let go of any preconceived ideas that you have of what you can and cannot do, and have fun. So we're going to start with the chat box tonight. And the first thing is, why do you compete? Why do you go to a trial? Why do you go to a test with your dog? Just type whatever, just fire them out there. The faster they come, the more fun it is. You can read what somebody else does, put something else up there. Fun. I love to read them off. Time with my dog.
That's important.
Competition motivates practice and new abilities. To see what we really know and don't know. Fun in setting goals. See what my dog can do. I like to see if I can improve over time. Temporary insanity gives me something to do with my crazy dog. So it's really hard for me to believe all of you who give brags all the time that not a single person in here said that they were looking for a first place ribbon or validate the quality of my training, or they wanted to title, or they wanted to move up. A true test of teamwork. All right, this is great. So what we're going to talk about first is motivation. So I really like this graphic because I think it very simply defines intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Motivation, it's really important to know for yourself how you're motivated, because motivation is it's gonna be your why. It's gonna be why you compete, and it's going to be what you're gonna kind of tap into to set your goals. Intrinsic motivation really simply is doing something for enjoyment. External motivation is doing something for a prize. So externally motivated, right? You're trying for a title, ribbons for time, trophies, praise from others. You might be afraid to look foolish. It might be fear of failure. All of those things are external motivators. internal motivation, learning something new, having a new experience, feeling that you belong, like in part of a group, right? That you've achieved a certain amount of competence, that you are part of a group, having fun, and then competence along there. So we had added to it, I'm all about titling my non-traditional dogs as long as they have fun. I do like to see if I can rank my dogs in their breeds. So we definitely have a mix of internal and external motivations, and that's great. Individually, you may have both of those going on. So this is a graph of what is in the sports psychology world, a performance arousal performance. It's a performance curve. And at some point along a level of arousal, you will have your peak performance.
Becky,
And so,
share your screen.
uh-oh,
Share screen.
mine is shared. Are you not seeing it?
I see you, which I'm happy to do, but I'm assuming you would rather have us see the graph.
So
I see the
right
graph.
now,
So some people see the graph and I see you, which means
Yeah, the graph's on.
you might have pinned me.
you're right. I don't think I did, but let's check it out. Hang on. More. No. Because I could spotlight for everyone. Hang on a second here. Request remote control, exit full screen. Is that better for you? No. And now I see it up here. I see it in the top part. Let's try side by side mode. Now we're good. Got it. We're good now.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
And so this is a little bit more of a complicated version of the graph, but the gist of the idea is that you're going to have a peak arousal level for yourself and actually for your dog as well. That's going to give you that peak performance. This is another way of looking at the same information. The IZOF stands for your individual zone of optimal functioning, which again is this zone when you're going to reach peak performance. And for some people, it'll be a low level of arousal. For others, it'll be a medium level of arousal. And for others, it'll be a high level of arousal. And again, I did have a poll that we were going to use. And one of the questions that I was going to ask, so we'll have people just kind of answer that in the chat. How many of you are aware of the level of arousal your dogs need and have a routine that you do with your dogs prior to competition?
Could you repeat that, Becky, please?
So the question is, do you know your dog's level of arousal that they need for competition? And then do you have a routine to prepare them? So yes, definitely I do. I'm going to guess many of you who compete often. For nose work, yes, yes. So far trying to tap down excitement, yes. So I will say that arousal doesn't have to be excitement, right? Low level of arousal would be calming a dog down and making sure they're not making sure they're not too hyped up, right? It's finding that optimum level, which could be low, medium, or high. So then I'm going to turn around and ask the same question. Do you know for yourself your optimal level of arousal for performance? And do you prepare yourself with some sort of pre-performance routine prior to competition?
Yeah.
So we have some comments in here about people still trying to learn the routines of their dogs, and they are younger dogs in terms of a trial. And we've got some people saying in no in terms of themselves, a yes, a no, a yes in terms of a start line routine, try to do some mental visualization. So that's where I'm going to go today, is talking a little bit more about preparing the person half of your team in terms of getting ready for performance. Long-term goals and short-term goals. So these are all really great to put some context around competition. Goals are part of what motivates us. Competition motivates us. They go hand in hand. Goals can put a check onto your competition so that your expectation isn't greater than what you are capable of doing as a team at that point in time. Does anybody have any goals for their training? And if you do, type, any competition goals. And if you have more than one dog, just pick one dog and think of a goal that you might have. Nancy, you set a goal when we started.
Yeah, I'm typing them out. I can't.
Got it. All right, finish MX and MXJ. Just have fun and learn to get to the next step. Finish Jeeves' excellent agility. RN, RI, and expert, trick dog, also overall master, elite scent work titles in AKC. So I'm gonna, Lisa Mitchell, will you come on and activate your mic and answer a couple questions on your goals?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about SMART goals, and all of the goals that were written here could actually be written a little bit better to have some time to it. So I'm just going to start. I don't know what an MX is, so will you share at least that with me so I learned something today?
So that's the AKC Master Excellent Agility for standard, and MXJ is Master Agility Jumpers with weaves.
Okay.
So you need to qualify 10 times at the excellent level for each
Okay.
of the standard and jumpers.
So would you classify this as a long-term or a short-term goal?
A long-term goal.
Okay. So long-term goals are great. Long-term goals give us that carrot to run after and chase after. And in any time you put a goal, you want to make sure it's measurable. You want it, yeah, we should start with the S of SMART. It's specific. So this is very specific. It's measurable. Lisa, attainable?
Yes.
Realistic. I mean, I think attainable and realistic are often the same. And the only thing like to add to this would be putting some kind of a time on it. So what do you think is a realistic time to hit for that? I mean, like 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah. Well, depending on where you're starting. So if I was starting at the very beginning from novice, then I'm looking at maybe 4 to 5 years if all I was doing was agility.
Yep.
The dog I have now, he's halfway. He's got 5 legs on each of those titles. So I'm hoping in the next year to 2 years, we'll have it done.
And do you have a short-term goal for this long-term goal?
I have a short-term goal for this long. I have a short-term goal for this.
A next competition?
The next competition, I don't even have it in line. probably this spring sometime. We're in agility league. That's sort of my training right now, and going up to SOTC to train. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a lot of people who've put in terms of different goals. And I guess what I would just, for those of you who don't have goals, to think about putting some long-term goals out there that might be 2, 3, 5 years out, and then some shorter term goals that are like looking at a competition in the spring, and then even shorter term goals like using Agility League to train and going up to SOTC. So that was a really great example of using goals and then using those to sort of build toward competition. Okay, on to understanding trial nerves. When an archer is shooting for nothing, he has all his skill. If he shoots at a brass buckle, he is already nervous. If he shoots for a prize of gold, he goes blind or sees 2 targets, he's out of his mind. His skill has not changed, but the prize divides him, he cares. He thinks more of winning than of shooting, and the need to win drains him of power. Basically, when we experience trial nerves, we are bringing it on ourselves. It's because we care, and our thoughts are what's causing us the stress and the pressure that's creating both the physiological and the mental aspects and changes that come along with it. And what's really important is to realize that when your body experiences stress, it goes into a fight or flight mode, and that releases adrenaline, and that adrenaline sets off this whole spiral of physiological and mental things that happen. So what we need to kind of get on this is, all right, it's coming from our thoughts. So how do we then kind of counter that? So in terms of nerves and being in a trial, what are some things that add to the pressure of being at a trial that's unlike being at training?
Is that a question to us?
That is a question. Yes, you can go ahead and put into the chat box. What are the things that add pressure to you on a trial day or competition day? Tired from travel, everyone is watching you, you have one opportunity to be successful. All the money and time involved, success is quantified. Some of the, oh, here's another one, unfamiliar with people in place, everyone is watching. Niggling doubt about weak spots in training, driving, hoteling, being judged. I have on my list, I added that some trials are really hard to get into, the travel and the time, the expectations that you put on yourself, wanting to succeed. And I also put looking foolish or not ready on that front. So again, I said that when we are under stress, and oftentimes we think stress is bad, and there is bad stress, distress, but there's also good stress, eustress. And what we need to do is find that balance of stress, right? Too much stress, and then we start having the nerves kick in. A little bit of stress, that can be motivating. That can be what gets us to practice. I always liked going to classes because then I would practice because I knew there would be an expectation going into the next class. I find it with competitions too. It gives meaning to training and something to train for. So we get away from the thought in your head that stress is necessarily bad. But when we do talk about trial nerves, that's pressure and that's stress, and our body responds to that by releasing adrenaline. And you might get into a trial and your heart might race. You need to go to the bathroom 15 times. Your hands are shaking, you're tense, your breath is shallow, your shoulders are up at your ears. And guess what? All of that is going to get transferred right down your leash to your dog. So one of the things, hopefully tonight, we can get on is how to try to get some of those physiological things under control. The really interesting part is they're real. They exist, and they all came from all of the things in your head that have built up to cause that pressure and stress. Some mental changes that occur, right? And ultimately the mental changes, they attack our confidence. They take away from our confidence. We start having doubt. We start having negative self-talk. Probably the biggest thing that happens to me is brain lock. I just forget everything. I don't know where I am. Or focusing on the wrong things while we're trying to focus on our dog. All right, so a little bit of fun. There's a huge connection between your mind and your body. And if you can buy into the idea that all of these trial nerves come from your thoughts and potentially the stress you put on yourself and that negative kind of aspect of it, that positive thoughts, positive visualizations, positive cue words can all then have the opposite and the reverse effect and put you into a better mindset and clear yourself so that you're ready to compete. So I have two different visualizations, but I really like the lemon a lot better. So I'm going to go with the visualization of the lemon. And again, this is the place that if you think you're not good at visualizing, you won't be. So just open up, go with the flow, try to relax as much as possible, and see if you can make any of this happen. So I'm going to just walk you, I'm going to read through a script, and I'm going to walk you through a visualization, which is called the script for lemon imagery, to try to make the mind-body connection for you. So take a deep breath and allow your eyes to close. I would like you to imagine now that you are standing in your kitchen or the kitchen of someone you know. In front of you is a cutting board. Next to the cutting board is a good, sharp knife. Take a few moments to imagine the kitchen, the color of the countertops, the appliances, the cupboards. Notice if there are any windows. Also notice any kitchen smells or sounds, the running of dishwasher, or the hum of a refrigerator, or the sound of a clock on the wall. Take some time to notice everything. Use all of your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? How do you feel being there in your kitchen? Now, imagine on that cutting board sits a plump, fresh, juicy lemon. In your mind, hold the lemon in one hand, feeling its weight and texture. Then place it back on the board and carefully cut it in half with the knife. Feel the resistance to the knife and how it gives way as the lemon splits. Notice the pale yellow of the pulp, the whiteness of the inner peel, and see whether you have cut through a seed or two. Carefully cut one of the halves in two. Notice where a drop or two of juice has purled on the surface of one of the quarters. Now imagine lifting this lemon wedge to your nose. Smell the sharp, fresh scent. After you've taken a good whiff of the lemon, bring it to your mouth and bite into the sour, juicy pulp. And as you finish this exercise, feel a dribble of juice drip down your chin. Marg has a good look on her face. What are you experiencing? Unmute yourself and tell us.
I wiped the lemon juice off my chin.
Did anyone salivate?
Puckered my
So
lip.
Go ahead.
I puckered my lips.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite because it's one of the easiest visualizations for people to do and actually get a physiological response. A lot of people will salivate, right? That wiping the chin off, the puckering of the lips. And I really think it, if nothing else, I hope that you buy into this idea that your thoughts, just as they create this nervousness for us, your thoughts and your positive thoughts and positive visualizations and positive words can really have an impact on both your mental confidence, but also on your physiologic relaxation. So this is my reminder slide that no amount of mental training will replace the physical training that you do or the active training that you do with your dog. Mental training will make trial experience much more enjoyable, and it also might make the difference for you in succeeding at a trial. But the repetition that you do, the practice that you do, it's irreplaceable, and it needs to be competent at best before you will see benefits from the mental training aspect of it. 10,000 reps to excellence is something that's used in the sport world. Just to give you a perspective of that, if you did 3 nose work hides a day, 10,000 reps would be 10 years. So just to give a perspective on it. But again, that there is, the mental part can actually bring more enjoyment to your competition, but the practice will always need to be there. All right, so putting it into practice, there's really 3 aspects that you want to be in control of, right? So the first part is controlling the physical response, and that's the physiological things that happen. That's the butterflies in the stomach, the hand shaking, the heart rate rising. And there's 2 things I do with my teams that I've done over the years: breathing and progressive relaxation. By far, breathing is, like, if you're going to do one thing, just learn the skill of breathing. I don't know how many people have Apple Watches. If you do, there's a breathing function on there. You can do a minute of breathing a day. You watch the thing get bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. It's pretty good and effective. I need to swap my share screen, so this will just take me a moment. And this I found on the internet, which is very similar to what your Apple Watch does. And again, I will take you through the breathing, and this little image kind of does it as well. But you're going to take a deep breath in and inhale through your nose. And when you exhale, exhale through your mouth. Breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. When you breathe in, fill your chest, then your belly. Exhale, empty your belly, then your chest. Breathe in. And exhale, relax your shoulders. Deep breath in. And deeply relax as you exhale. And in. And exhale. I usually start
by doing a minute of this before. And again, this isn't wait till you get to a competition and you feel really nervous and like, oh, I have to like start and practice breathing. No, you want to put this into practice. You can do this. This is one of the things that you can do any time of the day. Maybe you're at work and somebody just sent you a crappy email or yelled something across the room, right? Like you can just relax your shoulders. Maybe you're out training your dog and you get really frustrated and you're just, you just need to take a breath. You can do breathing before you go to bed to relax yourself, to help to fall asleep. And it's a really simple activity that you can build into your day, build into your training, and start when you get into some of the trials that, maybe you're competing, but it's not that really end game big one, and practice in that. And there's a lot of research evidence that shows that just simply breathing, it brings your heart rate down. It starts to control those nerves. The other thing is if you count your breaths or you say inhale, exhale, you start moving your mind to focusing on your breath, and then it's not focusing on all of the negative thoughts that might pop into your head. So very easy to incorporate into your day, something that will go beyond just trial competition and be really valuable in all aspects of life. Setting the mind, this is where there's a lot more that you can do. And these are the activities I use. Quiet sitting. I find this super valuable for the college students who are constantly on the run. They don't know how to be bored, to sit still, to let their mind be blank. They just don't know how to do it. They've been scheduled since they've been 2. They are constantly, like if they've got 2 minutes of nothing to do, their phone is in front of their face. Cue words is what I'm going to go through tonight. And affirmations are just positive statements that you say about yourself. Like, I'm the best trainer for my dog, is a great affirmation. Replacing negative thoughts. You got to have positive thoughts first before you can replace negative thoughts. So we'll get the positive thoughts and then imagery. And my hope is that when we finish, and this is sort of crash course shortcut to the finish line, and it'll take about 10 minutes, I think. And the goal will be to develop a performance routine by the time we get to the end of it. And that's going to start with cue words. The last piece is managing the environmental. And this is the one area you don't have control over, but what you have control over is letting go of what you don't have control over. And so when you get into a trial situation, you will have situations that that come up that are just not in your control, and just being able to let go. Also being flexible, something changes, a run order changes, this or that. And what you can do is you can practice in a lot of locations, weather conditions, and proofing in different arenas where you can do that proofing. If you're always going to trial at one location and you have the ability to practice at that location, great. But if you're going to trial in multiple locations, then get out and try to practice in multiple locations. I realized the other day, right? I've been doing agility at Susan Morse, outside ring. And then I started doing agility league at Pause, and I had my dog go over the teeter, and I was like, whoa, that teeter did not respond like the other teeter. And I was like, that was like a good realization and lesson for me. But if I want to go to a lot of locations and put my dog on a lot of different teeters, then I need to get out and practice that. Do we have a question? Because something came up in the chat. Oh. All right, that's awesome. I'm gonna read it though. Before a tracking test, I laid down flat on the ground and tightened each muscle and relaxed it. My dog ran around me, kissing me. That's awesome. So that's progressive relaxation, which is, you know, a secondary form of controlling those, you know, the physiology of what's going on in your body. And your dog thought that was fun. And it relaxed you, and it relaxed, I'm guessing him, I don't know which dog.
Yeah, it relaxed her and got her really revved up.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be, this will be really helpful if you have a pencil and a piece of paper, because this is another one of those reflections and jotting things down exercises. So what I would, let me get my right arrow here. So what I'd like you to do is, all right, go ahead, Rue, question.
Yeah, well, we're thinking about getting into that mindset and so forth. Much to Lisa's chagrin, I spend a lot of time watching sports on television. And I notice a lot of athletes these days, before an event, before a game, before a track meet, whatever, are wearing headphones. Does that help?
So, okay, so we don't really know what they're listening to, right?
No.
So we could assume it's music, and but it might not be. They might be listening to, there are a lot of different scripts out there and things. I actually one year for my team made, like back in the time of tapes, right? Audio tapes that they listened to prior to competition that walked them through some different things. So if they're listening, like if they're listening to like rap music, you know, they're probably somebody that needs to be at a high level of arousal. It's also possible that that is taking their thoughts off of, right? Like just distracting and taking their thoughts off of. I would rather see somebody doing an active pre-performance routine where they're actually doing something versus a distracted pre-performance routine where they're listening to something that is keeping their mind off of it. But, you know, they feel it helps. So I don't know if I'm
Okay,
really
well, you've answered my question. And
Yeah.
making that distinction between active and passive is a good contrast. Yeah, I'd rather, it makes sense to me what you're saying. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so first step of this is to reflect on a good performance that you had. And there might be multiple good performances, and they can come in all different arenas. It doesn't matter at all. What you want to be jotting down is any thought or feeling that you had during that good performance. And this is on your own paper right now. The next step is to create a cue word, and it could be 2 words for those thoughts or feelings. So for instance, if I had the feeling that everything fell in place, I might take that and just, I might come up with the a cue word that would be in the, like maybe in the zone or zone, where like it's everything fell into place zone. I felt really connected to my dog. Maybe I would use connected, but I would know that it was, you know, connected to my dog. But what we want to do is kind of take those things and come up with a word around that. One of the things I wrote easy, but one of my kind of thoughts or feelings was, oh, that was easy. And that always makes me think of the Staples. Is that Staples? Oh, easy. That was easy. Button. So if you can come up with some keywords, and again, if people are willing to share those in the chat, then we can, I find when I do this with my team, I have freshmen up to seniors, and the seniors are really good at coming up with keywords. And the freshmen are like, oh, I kind of like that one. Hey, that works for me. So I think it's really helpful to share. Push, engaged, laugh, dance. These are good. We can use some more though. There we go. On fire, like it, good. In sync. Fun, focus. I can do it. That's great. Focused. And then this is optional, but I think it's really, really dancing. Good. This is really effective if you can add a visual to your keyword. So I wrote a couple things down, and one of the keywords I wrote down was happy dog. And my visual, like I really like making my dog happy. Like nothing makes me more happy when I can tell my dog is happy. And I just have this visual, right? Tongue is out, ears are flapping, you know, trotting along like really light on their feet. And so if I can use the keyword happy dog and have a visual that goes along with that, I think dancing is really a good one to get a visual about, yeah, you dancing with your dog. And I'm not sure, I feel like more than one person said dancing, but Rue, you mentioned that, and I don't know if you're thinking about in terms of, you know, with obedience or rally or any of those things where you're just in sync and partners. The other, the other one I put was connect, like the idea of being really connected to my dog is one of the things I wrote down. And I work on visuals really well. So my visual on that is this a power flow of energy that you might imagine in a cartoon movie that is between myself and the dog. And if we're on leash, that's through the leash. If we're not on leash, that's just through the air, this sort of comic, you know, power flow that I can imagine. I was thinking about dancing in terms of nosework handling. Yep. Happy hound, good. Happy. So if you can add a visual, and then you want to come up with keywords. One, and again, if we were actually in a group, it would be easier. If we had a whiteboard, it would be easier. We don't. But you want to try to come up with one keyword that will elicit a relaxation response. Okay, back to controlling that physiological. You want to come up with one keyword that is either going to be motivational or confidence. They're slightly different, and sometimes I break them apart, but for the purpose of what we're trying to put together today in this amount of time, we're going to kind of lump those two together. And then one cue for focus. So we want to control the body, we want to set the mind, and we want to be in the moment and focus on what we are doing with our dogs, blocking everything else out. I picked 3. I really just like the word relax. It works for me. When I relax, I think about dropping my shoulders. I think about all of the tension and energy just out my fingertips, right? So relax works for me. It could be calm. And if you want a visual to go with calm, maybe it is a flat lake, or maybe it's the beach, like just something, you know, like something that's really calming to you. So you got to pick again what works for you. For the purpose of trying this exercise, I'll guide you through using the word relax. I'm going to see if I like anybody's. All right. We'll use dance for motivation and confidence, because I think in many dog sports that whole idea of being with a partner, moving in sync, whether sometimes one is leading, sometimes the other is leading, depending on the sport. Sometimes in agility, you go opposite directions and come back together. So I think that we'll go with dance for motivation and confidence. And then on focus, I'll use the word connect, and that will draw the focus in. So I have to, changing my note. And a performance routine can last anywhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. It probably isn't going to be longer than that. And with practice, it might take 2 minutes initially, but with practice, you should be able to get it to the point in 30 seconds. I should be able to go through steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and me be ready for competition, right? And we do all the things we're going to do with our dogs. But if we take 30 seconds for ourselves to prepare us to be the best partner we can be for our dogs, then we're going to have a better competition. We might not, walk away with everything, but the one thing on here, right, I've done the 3 keywords. The one thing on here is a visualization. And the visualization, this is harder for me to do in dog sports than it is in rowing. In rowing, it's very easy, but I'm still figuring this out. But I'm going to give 2 examples that somebody might choose to use today. And one visualization I'm going to take from nose work, which would be what I will visualize is my dog walking into odor, a head snap, a nose hold, and a tip of the head because it's underneath the lip of a counter, right? And I know that they're locked on. So I'm going to visualize that recognition of odor finding the slot. That would be a visualization that I would actually do, like that lemon exercise. In agility, I'm going to just pick the first 3 obstacles, and I'm going to make the 3rd obstacle my most difficult obstacle. And for the purpose of an example, I will take weave poles. So I'm going to do jump, jump, weave pole. And the weave pole, I'm going to just visualize my dog going straight in, shoulder on the left, and then bam, 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 through the weave poles, right? I am going to do a picture perfect, exactly what I want it to look like. So the point of this is that if you're doing obedience, I would visualize my dog on a heel, looking and paying attention to me with that beautiful. So the way this goes is it's going to be you're going to take a deep breath and say the cue word for relaxation, which I already told you I love relax. So there it is. It's part of it. It's just a deep breath, relax. Then it'll be a short visualization, your choice. I'll give you a minute to pick one and practice it for a second. Then we're going to take another deep breath, and you're going to say, we're going to use dance as a group right now, your confidence and your motivation word. And then we take another deep breath, and it's going to be connect. And at that point, we're ready to perform. So I will walk through, and we'll do it like 4 times, like doesn't take very long. And each time I will give you less cueing. So by the time you do it the 4th time, you'll be doing it on your own. But before we start, I'm going to give you a minute. I'll time it on my watch. I'll give everybody a minute to come up with a visualization that you want to use. So pick a dog sport, pick your dog performing well in that sport, and then we'll practice. And if you can't come up with anything, pick something that you want your dog to be able to do that they can't do yet, and put a positive visualization on it. Because I was just reading a post somewhere about if you don't believe your dog is capable of doing something, they won't be able to do it. So you can start by changing your own mindset by believing they can do it, by visualizing them doing it. All right, so if you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. This can be done, initially when you first practice, it's better to close your eyes and really do it in a quiet place. But eventually you should be able to do it while you're while it's just before your turn to go. All right, so get comfortable. Take a deep breath in. Inhale through your nose. Exhale and say to yourself, relax. Take a moment to visualize. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and say dance. Take another deep breath in. Exhale and connect. All right. Everybody kind of has the idea of it. So we'll go one more time. So we're going to breathe in. Exhale, relax. Visualize. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, say dance all the way out. Inhale, deep breath in, and exhale, connect. Okay, one more time and do it a little bit self-led here. Deep breath. Visualize. Deep breath. Deep breath. Okay. One last time, completely on your own. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Rue?
I just wonder, can you summarize this on a wristband that I can wear when I go in the ring?
You probably could.
This has been terrific. I just want to say thank you for a terrific presentation.
You're very welcome.
Yes, Becky, thank you very much for doing this. I had interruption with Dancer bugging me every so often, but
Thank you. It was very helpful.
Welcome. Jackie?
Thank you. And just a reminder that relaxation techniques can also be used to control pain.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Good night. See you Saturday.
Yep.
Good night, folks.
we're all going to be breathing on Saturday.
Right. have a joint breathing exercise.
I'm
My
back.
biggest problem is I don't breathe sometimes when I'm running.
Oh, yeah, that can be dangerous.
Yes, I forget to breathe, so that's something you have to remember. Oh, there goes Dancer. He wants something. Thanks again.
Yep.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Becky.
Bye.
I'm gonna stop recording now.
Oh,